General and special education interviews. This is my presentation. I hope you enjoy. I had the opportunity to interview the special education teacher of a level 3 and level 4 classroom. This teacher had 8 students total and multiple associates to be one-on-one with each of the students. This special education teacher is in charge of providing materials, instruction, and catering to the needs of each individual student. Through my interview, we discussed some of the similarities and differences between a special education class and teacher versus a general education class and teacher. Some of the similarities between both of them is that no matter what, both of them are required to assess students frequently. They also both provide small group support. However, a special education teacher provides more small group and more one-on-one. Both special ed and general education teachers have access to the same curriculum as each other, no matter what, whether or not they follow it. They also both follow the core standards. Some of the things that are different about special ed is that they use different curriculum than the general education teachers. They use unique curriculum for reading, which is special just for special ed. They also provide more one-on-one instruction, which I discussed. They give instruction at a slower pace than in a general education room just because of the needs. As far as the general education teacher goes, in their room, they really focus more on tests and a way to assess students. So most of their instruction kind of goes and follows along to teach for the assessment. They also provide homework more on a daily basis, and the class is much more rigorous and at a higher level. They also have larger class sizes than in a special ed classroom. Some of the other similarities between the two were that students go to different classes. However, special education students, these particular students do not go to as many classes and rotate as often or at the same time as general education classes do. Both have reading and writing. They both complete projects with a core aligned. The special education teacher talked about that everything is done at school in their room. Reading is done at school and in small groups or one-on-one. There's smaller schedule and more break times to accommodate for their needs again. They take just smaller steps in order to get to an end result in comparison to a general education classroom that they have multiple standards that they're meeting in a week. They have multiple things that they're doing, and they may complete more projects in a year. The general education classroom has larger discussions. They have higher group expectations and longer class times. They have a variety of reading that's expected and a lot more reading time that's expected as well. You are much more likely to be independent and expected to be at a higher independent level in a general education classroom. While talking with the special education teacher, he explained to me that the schedule for these students are very stable. They go to the same places daily for a trimester. They are integrated into 2 classes daily, which are usually health or PE or foods class. These classes have other students as mentor. From what I had heard and from some of the things that I saw is that there are other students in the building that have volunteered their own time to be a mentor to one of these students on their own. They go through food class, they go through PE or through health, and they help and guide them along to cooking a meal, to learning how to exercise, and they stay in that class with that person all semester long. What a great experience to really learn to build those skills as a high schooler. I think that's both wonderful, and they also spend the extra time helping them try and read in some of their classes too. While talking with the special education teacher, they converse only via email with the general education teacher. The lessons are made, for example, in foods class, knowing that the student mentors will be there to assist them. The tests are changed to fit the needs of the students and done in a different setting. There are also more projects, but they are done at a different level than in the general education classroom. Here are some of the connections that I made. In this particular special education classroom, many students are very low in reading skills. This teacher talked about with me about how these students still have the freedom of reading and choosing what they want to read, which is also important in preventing a readicide, according to Gallagher. These kids are often read with. They have multiple types of text available daily that they use as well, such as magazines or newspapers, which they study in the morning. They also look online for the weather and practice reading those as well. Lastly, I believe that students, no matter their accommodations or needs, should have the opportunity to read books at their level as well as more challenging books. According to Gallagher, there's a huge difference in assigning reading and teaching reading, and students need teachers who recognize the balance between chopping books to death and handing books to students. This seems to be happening less and less no matter the type of classroom. I would like to see this change in order to help more students graduate knowing how to read. I hope that you enjoyed my presentation and hopefully learned a little bit about the balance between a general education classroom and a special education classroom. Thank you again for listening.